Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's webinar. My name is Mark Gerber. I work for Metafile Information Systems, and we're going to have Ryan Warnicki here doing kind of a co-webinar here with us this afternoon, a little something we haven't tried before. I know Ryan and I have known each other for a number of years and talked at conferences and such and kind of play off each other. This time we're going to be doing it from opposite ends of the country, as I'm in tropical Minnesota and he's out in lovely Maryland, I guess he's at. So we'll be doing a little baton passing here, and we do want to thank you for joining us here today. So try to make good use of your time. We do have a moderator sitting in with us today. They will be answering questions if you have any of those. Just so you are aware, everybody but Ryan and myself will be muted today, as a lot of people might be sitting in offices that aren't real soundproof, and we want everybody to have a great opportunity to listen to what we're going to present here today. For those of you joining us now, today's webinar will be on the ResultsPlus product and its integration with the wealth screening product, DonorSearch. So we're going to share some good information with you, and we'll try to do as much as we can here for you today. And again, there might be some questions. So at the end of this, we will leave this up for you so that you can submit any questions that come in towards the end there. And either Ryan or myself or some of the other salespeople will be filtered those questions, and we'll make sure that we get those answers to you. So usually like to start my webinar out by just giving a 30-second spiel on the Metafile company. Metafile Information Systems corporate office is based out of Rochester, Minnesota. We are a privately held, debt-free organization with 5 years of operating capital, and I illustrate that because of the economic times. Metafile sells 8 different software products. 2 of those are intended for the nonprofit sector, namely the ResultsPlus that we have and a platinum version of ResultsPlus, which has some event tracking and some other components. But today we'll be focusing on, again, ResultsPlus and the DonorSearch integration. We have over 4,000 clients in the country using the software, so it's a real tried and true software. It is the oldest in the marketplace, in case you're not familiar with us, but our first product was introduced, I should say, in the early 80s. If you're old enough like me, you might remember the DOS era. We did release the first Windows product, and that happened in May of 1994. Of course, we've had a lot of subsequent upgrades, and we keep pace with the Windows technology as we are Microsoft Gold partners. Probably the biggest change here in the last 15 years or so is the web. We do have a cloud version of that, and that was introduced in 2004. So Metafile still sells an installable version of the software, so if you've got great infrastructure and that's where you want to be, you still have that opportunity with us. If you do like to work in the cloud, whether from home or on the beach somewhere, on vacation, you want to take a look at your database, you would have that opportunity with our cloud version. So with that, I'm going to turn the ball over to Ryan and let him give us a 30-second spiel, if he would, on DonorSearch.
Well, thank you, Mark, and hello, everybody. Ryan Warnicki. I'm joining you from just outside of Baltimore, Maryland, in a little town you've probably never heard of called Marriottsville. To give you a little bit of background about the company, DonorSearch was founded 9 years ago. In those 9 years, we've amassed a number of clients. We currently have a little over 1,900 active clients. We only work in the nonprofit industry. We don't work with for-profit organizations. And we were founded by a former major gifts officer and a fellow that ran a few other wealth screening companies named Bill Tedesco. And the thing that we do that's really neat and exciting, and you'll see it in a moment here in the ResultsPlus database, is that we actually rate people based on their giving elsewhere. So we have the fastest growing database of charitable gift information. There's well over 100 million charitable gift records that we get from playbills, annual reports, anything like that that has a donor honor roll in it. But then we're the only company to actually build a matching logic to say, hey, all of these gifts over here, how do they relate to your actual donors? So instead of just looking to see if they have real estate or other markers of wealth, which we look for, we're actually able to highlight, hey, this seller, this lady that gave you $20, $50, $100, well, they actually gave a gift of $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 somewhere else. So because we know they're actually philanthropic at a large level, and you don't have to be scared to ask them for an amount of money that they've already said yes to somewhere else, you're able to fundraise a little more effectively. So that's it. I think it went a little long. Sorry, Mark.
That is quite all right. I probably went over 30 seconds too. All right. What we're going to do here now is jump into ResultsPlus and kind of show you how all this stuff works together. Today we're going to look at some records here within the system. I'm going to start by clicking on the Add or the Find button up here. This is actually a toggle switch in ResultsPlus. The bottom of that, letting you as an organization define what you want to do a search on. So if you had, for example, an email address, you weren't quite sure who that belonged to, you could click email. It would ask you what the address is. You type it in. If it's in your database, it's going to show up. Now, one of the other things you could do here, obviously, is type in a field here that maybe shows your P to G score or your propensity to give, and Ryan's going to talk more about that. But this will help you focus on select or individual records within the database. Now, the top part of this button here is going to allow me to specifically type in the name that I'm looking for, and I can use a partial spelling, and I'm going to type in B-A-L. I'm looking for an Eli Baldwin. This is going to pop up here, and I have a couple of Baldwins. The beauty of this is if you got some name that you're not really sure how to spell, I know the guy that I always use in my demo here is A.J. Przinski. I don't know if any of you guys are baseball fans, but he used to play for the Twins for a number of years, and I know his name is P-R-Y-Z something, so I'm not sure exactly how to spell it. But if I type in what I do know, I hit enter, it's going to go right to that section of the database. So hopefully it's going to get me close enough where I'm going to be able to find that. And again, if I've got a huge database, 20,000, 50,000 records, I'm going to be close enough here where I'm not trying to scroll all the way down to the P's. In this case, I see two Baldwins. I'm actually looking for Eli. If at any point in time you wanted to add a new record because you didn't find them in the database, ResultsPlus always has this little Add New button up here in the upper left-hand corner. You can click that. What that'll do is sidestep you, allow you to enter that information. It'll drop you back into wherever you happen to be coming from. Now that could include gift entry here up here in our receipts or gift area, pledges, or membership. So if you acquired a new donor as a result of some solicitation that you did, you would be able to continue to add your gift, sidestep, add the person, drop back, and continue with your work efforts. What we're going to focus on here today is the executive summary. Now this is all the information that we have for this particular record. If it isn't on this screen, it is merely one click away. Again, we're going to try to be tying this all into our DonorSearch or our wealth screening, so we're going to try to move through this, and you won't see as much about other functionality today as you will about the summary and how we're going to look up this wealth screening. Real quickly on this page here, we've got a picture of the individual, big proponent of that. If you've got pictures of them, you see them at an event, you call them by name, you say hi to them, you're building that rapport with this person. And anytime you're doing that, your gifts are usually a lot more substantial. So a great opportunity if you have that opportunity. Adjacent to that is every address that we know for this particular individual. And again, I say unlimited addresses, and I want to point out that these are seasonally adjustable. And what that means to you is if you're a snowbird from Minnesota and after the Christmas holidays you take off for someplace where it's a lot warmer, believe it or not, people don't like the 40 below zero here in January, so they go to Arizona or someplace like that. You can indicate when they're at that address, and any mailings that you do will automatically be sent to them down at that location. So they're not going to come back, and you're not going to be just an envelope in the box that they had set aside there while they were out of town. Again, with unlimited addresses and seasonally adjustable addresses, you've got unlimited phone numbers, cell phone numbers, and email addresses. Bouncing over here to the far right-hand side here, we've got information on our gifts. This is good out of the eye, corner of your eye type information. Largest gift, date that it corresponds to, the last gift, the date that it corresponds to, their average gift, and that's automatically going to be disseminated for you. So if they give $300, 100 increments. Obviously, the average is $100, but if they had given some $5, $20, and $100 gifts, it would maybe give you $57.57. So the average donation is always calculated for you. Again, the click of a button here is going to show me every gift they have ever given. Now the part that will tie back here to the wealth screening is here you're going to have the fund code. Okay, so you're going to be able to come into the system, open up all their gifts. You might be looking for a very specific code that was related to the screening that you did. So you want to find out whether or not all the stuff that you did with the information you got from DonorSearch actually panned out for you. Did we really make some big bucks on that? Once in a while you'll have some of your friends that contact you and say, hey, have you ever done wealth screening? Yeah, we've done it. You know what, we're able to tell you that this makes big dollars for us. So one thing I'm going to point out here is whatever you click on the left-hand side will be shown in detail over here on the right. Again, the campaign, appeal, and fund code will be the most important to you so that you can tie those back to any activities that you've got with your screening process. We'll close that quick here. Beneath that here, we've got pledge information. So whether you're running annual or capital campaigns, you're going to be able to keep track of what's kind of wiggling out there and working for you. What's the largest pledge? Which date did that correspond to? The last pledge that they made, what date does it correspond to? Outstanding monies. This could be a conglomeration of two pledges. So if I'm finishing up this year's pledge and I've already pledged for next year, you're going to see a conglomeration of that. Again, like we saw with gift, our pledge history. So if I were to click on that button, it would show me every pledge they had ever made. So I've got their entire history there. If you are a membership-driven organization, beneath that we've got memberships. What was their first membership? What is their renewal date? In this case, we've got lifetime. And again, click of a button here shows me every bit of history that they've got. I'm going to jump over here real quick. In the lower left-hand corner, I like to call this my snapshot sheet. This is set up by each individual in the organization, and it should contain the information that they're most likely to use in a conversation. So if you're calling somebody up, you might want to know their spouse's name. You might want to know how many kids they've got, what the kids' names are. If they don't have kids, do they have a dog? What's the dog's name? Do they give a lot of gifts? Do they attend different things that you do? Do they get your newsletter? Do they have Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, any of those things? So again, build this for yourself based on the things that you most commonly use in conversation. Adjacent to that, here we've got our constituencies. How is this person associated to our organization? Are they an alumni, council member, patient, former patient, board member, past board member, volunteer? Created for you by you. So this should be information that is going to really help you break down different groups of people within your organization. All right, now we get heavier into the wealth screening. The next three fields that we see here, we've got our funds, campaigns, and appeals. So at a glance, you're going to have the opportunity to find out what basically trips this person's trigger. Do they have something that you do that they really like? If you looked in the fund code here and it was Golf 08, Golf 09, Golf 10, Golf 11, and the only thing they've ever done with you is attend your golf event, if you were going to be sitting down pondering a major gift ask, a wealth screening, or you were going to invite them to something that wasn't golf related, yeah, it might not be a good choice for you, okay? But if you see somebody like this guy here that's got a variety of different funds and attended a lot of different events and different appeals, good candidate. It might be somebody that it's well worth screening too. So now where this is going to tie in is down here on the bottom where we've got this research constituent for wealth screening. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this button here real quick, and this is going to open up our connectivity to this particular record, and this one is empty. So this was somebody that we could do some screening on, and this is going to fill all the information in for us here when we do the screen. Now in this case, what I'm going to do here is close this record, and I'm actually going to come up here and do another find, and I'm going to look for a gentleman by the name of George Rubin, who I have already screened with the help of Ryan. I'm going to go ahead and click on him. And now here's George Rubin. Now you've noticed here we don't have all this information in here. We just found out about this guy. He attended an event that we had and expressed an interest. So now we're going to maybe do some screening because I heard this guy might be worth some big bucks, and obviously if he is, we want to take advantage of that. So all this again is going to be built over time, but right now we're going to be able to come down here and do a wealth screening. So if I go ahead and I click on this button here, this is our wealth engine screen. And with that being said, I'm going to try to drive while Ryan gives you some instruction on what is available here and what that means to you. So go ahead, take it away, Ryan.
All right. So this is the DonorSearch screen, and in this screen, the data on the right is some of the summary information that we return. When organizations work with us to review records and find their best major fund opportunities, planned gift opportunities, annual fund opportunities, we're always driving off of research that we've done. So where Mark's cursor is sitting, where it says DS rating DS1-1, that's the result of a back study where we took data from 400 of our clients, so that's 400 nonprofits. They collectively told us about 2 million of their donors, and those 2 million donors, they shared with us that they gave those organizations $5 billion. So what we did is we looked to see what data can we append, what can we add to those records that points to the biggest portion of the $5 billion. Basically, what's predictive when we add data. And through that, we built this DS rating. And a DS1-1 is the single most predictive piece of information we could append. It's when we found somebody making a gift of $5,000 or more somewhere else. So what that says right out of the gates is this person has to have a certain level of wealth. And oh, by the way, we know they're philanthropic at least a $5,000 level. Below that there, the overall score of 18.2, that says, hey, this data is fairly accurate. The way our rating system works is if the number's 17, we believe there's a high enough degree of accuracy that we'll count it. But once data gets to 18, 19, 20, it becomes very unlikely that the data we're appending is inaccurate. The next two values are probably the most predictive piece of information and some of the most powerful data there. What it does is it says, what's the range of the single largest gift that we believe this individual made? So because of this review, we found George Rubin making a gift between $1 to $5 million. So we know he's a seven-figure opportunity. That doesn't mean that you as an organization can ask him for $1 million, especially if he had just attended one event. But the thought is long-term, that's the opportunity that he represents, if not more, because somebody's already said, will you give us a gift of this size? And he said yes. Below that, the data sets really aren't as predictive. We'll go through them quickly, but business revenue, that basically says if we could find the individual affiliated as business, what's the estimated size or revenue of that business? SEC stock value or insider. We'll look at that a little bit more closely in a minute in the detailed profile, but can we find they're an insider? And that means maybe they are. We're not positive, and the value would show their holdings. Market guide is biographical data. Pilot, airplane owner, boat, that's not too predictive. Actually, what we found is a lot of people with those markers actually are less philanthropic. Foundation board, Guide Star board, we're looking there to see if people sit on the board of grant giving or grant seeking nonprofits. Off to your right, some of these are more your classic wealth screening points. So you'd expect to see an estimated capacity or based off of their real estate holdings and other wealth markers, what do we think the person could give over a 5-year period as 10% of their assets? The conventional thought is if somebody fully commits to your organization, they would give 10% of their assets over a 5-year period, so 2% a year. So with our formula, what we're saying is based on the available data, we believe he could give $740,000, a little over that. But the awesome part, if we had just looked to the left, hey, we know he made $1 million gift, so there's something more prolific about the philanthropy that's not readily available in your classic wealth review. Below that, you've got the real estate estimate, real estate count. So if you look at it, a little over $2 million, and below that it says there's 2 properties. So his 2 properties combined are a little over $2 million. Likely matches count, likely matches total. We found 33 gifts that we think are him. Of those 33 gifts, they add up to a little over $1.3 million. So again, fairly philanthropic person. And then right below that, what's actually more predictive than your kind of classic wealth screening marker where you're looking for real estate is political giving. And if you can find that somebody's made a one-time $1,000 FEC gift, they've done something that 99.9% of the country has never done. So you're talking about the top 1/10 of 1%. That starts to sound like a major gift opportunity. What we found was that if you could find somebody, their lifetime giving is $15,000 or more in political gifts, there's a 1-to-1 correlation that they've made a 5-, 6-, 7-figure charitable gift somewhere. So if all we found was the 85 gifts totaling, geez, a little over $120,000 in political gifts, that says, hey, this person is an awesome opportunity. So at this point, I'm going to pass it back over to Mark to show how the integration plays out a little bit further.
Okay. What we're going to do here, I maybe should have shown this before, but I'll show it afterwards here. We're going to come up here and we're going to click the View Online, which is going to take us to some additional information, give us a little bit more meat, if you will, on some of the searches that you're going to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and click this View Online. This is going to connect to DonorSearch, and I'm going to show you how to set that up. ResultsPlus and DonorSearch have worked hard together for a number of years, and we've got some great intuitive abilities with the system. We integrate extremely well, so all you're going to have to do is pass information back and forth between the two, and it is very simple to do. A couple of things to do for setup, and I'll show you those here in a minute, but you can see here this had responded or came back to me and says that it found information for George Rubin, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that screen. And this is going to open up the identification profiles, or the IDP, and I'm going to hand that ball back over to Ryan.
Thank you, Mark. So this profile that you're looking at, this is where you'll probably spend most of your time if you're actually going to solicit a gift from George and his wife, Lorraine, anytime soon. The summary data we saw in ResultsPlus moments ago, that's valuable for segmenting and reporting, and you can use it for mass marketing and tons of other things. But once you've determined, hey, this fella George, he's a real opportunity, you want to click that button, see this detailed information, and start to walk through what George and Lorraine really look like, who they're giving to, that kind of a thing. So the data up at the top, George and Lorraine, that's what came out of ResultsPlus to go off and perform the request to generate this profile. Below that, everything you see there, target ask based on giving, wealth, DS rating, all of this information, this is the same kind of data that you saw in ResultsPlus moments ago. Just to the right of that, we have this nifty little pie chart, because everyone likes pie, that highlights what kinds of organizations or causes are our donors giving to. And in the case of George and Lorraine, a little over 90% of the dollars that they've donated have been to higher ed organizations. So you're talking colleges, universities. Had most of it been to museums, it would have been arts. Had most of it been to YMCAs and other social service organizations, it would say social service. If people were given to zoos or ASPCAs, that might say animal related. So this just helps give you insight. What is it that they like to give to in general when they're making gifts elsewhere? Now, Mark, if you could scroll down a little bit lower, please, I want to point out we actually just did a new release last night. So this is a brand new view. If you'll notice, as you scroll down, the information that came out of ResultsPlus, the name and the address, that all sticks up at the top. So if you ever want to check, hey, wait, where do they live again? If you're trying to verify data, it's always right there front and center. That's something that our clients said, hey, we really want this. So we responded, we listened. If you click down below where it says demographics, this is actually another new feature. What we're doing is we're going off and we're snagging demographic data to try and figure out, can we find an email address, can we find a phone number, is there a date of birth to show you the age, can we get estimated income, it's our provider's version of estimated wealth, average household value, and then different things that they're interested in. So somewhere along the way, George or Lorraine did something that triggered a yes to golf and a yes to boating and sailing and a yes to fishing. It could have been as simple as signing up for a magazine or making a purchase through a certain vendor, and then suddenly that got attached to this report. So that's the full spectrum of data that you'll get right out of the gates to help preface. Again, none of this is too terribly predictive, but it helps to set the stage. Mark, if you click below where it says charitable giving, that'll cascade out all of the different charitable gifts. And what we're saying here is there were about 70 gifts that we found that might be them. Of that, we're confident that 34 are in fact them. And if you look, what we're seeing at the top of it is Lafayette College. That's the name of the organization of where they gave the single largest gift. If you look below that, there's address information for where they are, and to the right of that, it says it was a gift to their annual fund. If it was bequest, it could say bequest. If it was a campaign gift, it might say that. Just to the right of that, under donor name and category, that's where higher ed is pulling in that pie chart up above. And this is also us saying it's both Mr. and Miss George F. Rubin, and in this case, Lafayette identified that he's from the class 64. To the right of that, you'll see the year that we found this $100,000 or this $1 million gift rather. So they shared this in their 2001 annual report. I'm not going to ask you to click annual reports, but clicking that wherever it's blue will take you to the source document so that you can actually control F and poke around and see where they're listed. Maybe they're also on the development committee, or there's somewhere else where they're listed that will provide deeper insight into who they are. And just to the right of that, you've got the range of the gifts. So $1 million to $5 million. Now, we're pretty sure it's them. If you look to the right, part of the new release was the quality score. We made it easy to interpret. So it shows up as 2 stars. If you put your mouse over it and click, it'll actually show you, hey, what's the specific number? And you see it's 17.7, and there are the different variables. That's how it was generated. But just to make it easy for you to look at it and take it in quickly, 2 stars says all that you need to show. Now, all of this data is editable. So hypothetically, if that $1 million gift was wrong, you can remove it. So Mark, I'm going to ask you to click that little checkbox right there. And what that does is now you have selected this piece of information to edit. If you go up to the top, there's an action bar. And when you click the action bar, it drops down and shows you all the different things that we could do. So again, for the sake of argument, Mark, I'm going to ask you to click delete selected. And then once you've done that, hit the go button. And that's going to take a second, but now this profile is going to get rid of that George F. Rubin gift. And now you can see that the makeup of this profile has changed. It's only going to show you $50,000 to $50,000 because that's the single largest gift that we think is him now that we've made that change. Let's say you go, oh no, I made that in error, I didn't want to do that. Well, on the right-hand side in the action bar, if you click that again, Mark, there's the option to hit undelete all directly below delete selected. And what that'll do, if you click go, is that'll undo any deletes that you've made. You just click OK to go through that. And now you're going to be right back there, that $1 million gift there, that the profile reflects it. So as Mark's pointing out, that $1 million gift is present up at the top yet again. If we scroll down a little further and go back to the charitable giving data, again, there's one last thing I want to show you. So Mark, if you click that, there's a feature where you can, actually, let's scroll down to the ones that we don't think are him. So there's going to be all these gifts below that. You're going to see they're in gray. If you keep scrolling, please, Mark, to the ones where they should have 1 star. There you go, right there. So these are the ones where it might be him, but it didn't look like tight enough of a match for us to count it and say, oh yeah, he's a good opportunity because of this. Like all of these was the Mr. George F. Rubin's the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation. That very well could be him, but with matching logic, we're not positive. Below that, you've got other ones, George and Ron Rubin, Jacqueline and George Rubin. These are ones that certainly aren't your George Rubin because of what you told us about at the top. But again, for the sake of argument, to show you how the feature works, there's an option where you can hit check all at the very beginning of the gray. And Mark, that's right up directly below, just to the left of that where it says check all instead of uncheck all. Could you click that? There we go. So now what you've done is you've selected all of these. And if you want, you could delete them, but just to show you what changes, if we go into the action bar, Mark, and you choose the option that says mark very high, where it says 20, and hit go, that'll go ahead and recalculate considering all of these are right. And the thing that's nifty is now, so you can see the full spectrum of giving. It's a little rainbow pie there. But if we go down further and actually look at those gifts, the 69 out of 69, where it says charitable giving, you'll actually see the ones that you've edited are displayed in check marks instead of stars. So it's really transparent what you touched or someone else at your organization touched, as opposed to what we came up with right out of the gates. So Mark, I'm going to ask you to minimize this and then go down to the political giving. So the political giving, we look at two kinds of political giving. There's FEC giving, and then there's political state giving. Political state giving varies. Different states have different laws, and what's available is very different where you go. But the neat thing about the political giving that Mark's kind of highlighting here is a lot of this is very similar. You'll get a good sense of which side of the aisle they sit on. So if you wanted a board member to work with George Rubin and you've got your pick, you'd probably want somebody that sits to the right of the aisle to reach out and help build the relationship, as opposed to somebody that might have been an avid Bernie fan, because they're less likely to get along based on the political giving at least. But off to the right where it says your source and occupation, that middle column there. So this is really neat. Anything that's blue, if you click it, it'll go off and do a Google search, unless we get to the source document. So if we click FEC, where Mark's hovering over right now, it'll bring up that tab, and it'll actually show us here is the gift that he filled out with his actual address, 847 Province Road in Malvern, Pennsylvania. And you can actually see, yeah, this is him making that gift. This is a great way to actually pick up additional pieces of real estate or old addresses when you're trying to validate data. If we go back into the profile and X out of this FEC link, one of the other really neat things is if you click where it says Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment, TR, the thought is it'll actually go out, do a Google search for his name, and that whatever he listed as his employer, his company, and it'll get you all these different results. People that are really outstanding, they might have a Bloomberg profile or a Wikipedia page, but normal folks, you'll end up getting their LinkedIn. So it's a great way to try and figure out additional biographical, detailed information before you pick up the phone and call someone. Just help you feel more confident in, hey, you know who you're reaching out to. If we back out of this, there's two other things to highlight. Let's minimize the political giving and go down to, I don't recall if it's the real estate. Yeah, the real estate's the next one we want to look at. So if you click real estate, the thought is these are the two different pieces of property we found. There's the main house out in Pennsylvania. That's $1 million property. And then they've got their beach house out in New Jersey, which is also roughly $1 million property. If you're interested in any of these, so let's say we want to see more about the beach house. Mark, could you click anywhere in that line where the beach house is listed? That'll drop it down. You'll see here it's in Lorraine's name. If you look below that, there's something that says assessment value $949,000, market value $996,000. The market value is at the very bottom there. And one of the nice things about that is in different parts of the country, the way that they record real estate can affect someone's perceived wealth when you're using these services. But snagging a market value Makes it real easy to tease out what kind of opportunity it is. Down and to the left, there's a little button, actually, Mark, if you go back, where it says Add Address on the left-hand side. If you go back down a bit, I'm throwing a curveball at Mark. We actually did a walkthrough before, and I didn't show him this. But if you click where it says Add Address, what that'll do is if you know about a piece of real estate that they have hidden and it's not easy for us to pick up, you can actually enter in that address, including the value of the address, and that will cause the whole profile to update. And the good news is when you're doing this, it's specific to you. So if you and somebody else both have George Rubin as an opportunity and you're entering in, hey, he's got a $5 million piece of property, that information won't then be readily available to everyone else using the service. It's just you and anyone at your organization. So that's the Add Address feature. And you can do that with most of the data sets. It's not just the address. The last piece of information I want to walk through is the SEC Insider holdings. So to give you some insight, SEC Insiders, those are people that own 10% or more of a publicly traded company, or they're on the board or an executive in some way, and essentially they know what the company is going to do before they do it. So they have to share all of their stock transactions for that company with the government. So you won't be able to look up my measly portfolio. You don't even want to see that. But people that are these bigwigs, you can see what they do with the companies where they're insiders. So if we click it, it'll drop down and show us the overview. So what we can see here is that up on the right-hand side, it shows total sold, total purchase. So we know that George has profited a net about $8 million. He's pulled out $12.7 million from selling shares of stock, and he's invested about $4.5 million. So he's in the black $8 million, which is pretty awesome. Good for him. That doesn't even include, if you look below, there's the holding summary where he's at or was at Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust, and it'll show the ticker symbol. It'll show the date of his last transaction, how many shares he's holding in direct holdings versus indirect holdings, and then off to the right-hand side what the current price was as of this morning when we pulled it. So if you do the math, you say it's a little over $24 a share times 211,000 units. He still has $5.2 million floating out there in assets, which that's really valuable information. If you look below that, there's something that says non-derivative stock transactions. And there's one for derivatives as well, but we only need to look at one. It does the same thing. So if you click any one of those, Mark, we'll be able to see all of the transactions. So you can see this is him being awarded shares of stock, being paid or compensated with stock. That's what the type is. Shows you the company, the price at the date of the transaction, how many shares were involved, how many holdings he has afterwards, that kind of thing. You can actually see it's down 3 from where you are. Nature of ownership on the right-hand side, it says by spouse. So this is actually something, because he knows this information, he could tell his wife and that she could do all sorts of fun things. So we're just tracking even when his wife makes transactions with shares of PEI. If you click on the date mark where it says 2/16/2005, that'll actually show us the form that she or he or their lawyer filled out for this transaction. And one of the benefits of being able to access these forms, every once in a while we'll actually hold an educational session on it so you learn how to read it. But oftentimes what happens here is people get issued stock options, and you figure out when is it that the option's going to vest, or when do they have to make a move and invest money or get access to these stocks. Once that happens, they're going to have a windfall of cash, and oftentimes that's a great opportunity for somebody to make a charitable gift to offset that tax issue that they have. So if you learn how to read these forms and you can look at these, you'll actually get a great sense of, oh, September's coming up. I ought to reach out to Mark to ask for a gift, or George, excuse me, to ask for a gift, because he very well is likely going to have this windfall of cash and needs some sort of tax shelter. And I can provide that tax shelter as an organization. So, Mark, I'm going to ask you to close out of this here. And that's really it for our detailed profile. That's walking you through, these are the ins and outs, and this is why he's a good opportunity. This provides a whole lot of insight so that before you pick up the phone, these are the organizations he supported, these are the organizations that his wife has supported. You'll get a good sense of both he and his wife are listed in all the big gifts, so you really shouldn't do the ask with just one of the two there. At any rate, that's it for how it functions here in DonorSearch in the profile. Thanks for walking through that, Mark. I'm going to kick it back to you for the ResultsPlus part of it again.
Well, you didn't trip me up too bad, buddy, so we did okay. So, all right, I'm going to close this back here and drop back into results. Again, you can do multiple searches. I don't know if Ryan mentioned that. I guess I didn't hear it, but you might do a search now and you might do another search in 6 months, so you have the opportunity to do that from time to time just to make sure you've got the most current information. All right. Now, as I had mentioned here, all of this stuff seamlessly connects to one another. I'm just going to make a couple of quick point outs, if you will, here. We've got our CRM functionality over here in the cultivation data. So if you want to keep track of, or if you want to set up a major gift ask or a moves management plan, you're going to have the opportunity to do that. You can check relationships. So if you acquire some information through the search or the screening that Ryan's group did for you, it might net you some very good information. You might find out about some in-laws or something like that. So not only did you hit the jackpot with Reuben, but you found out that Ryan is an uncle or a nephew or something like that, so there's an opportunity maybe to solicit him as well. So again, this can really spiderweb for you and show you a lot of great information. We'll show you whether or not there's any social medias. Again, if you run any events, it will show you whether they were sponsors or attendees. Down here you have the ability to track volunteerism, so if you can get them to do some stuff with the organization outside of gift giving, that might be a good way to get them in there, build a relationship as you prepare them for a major gift or a moves management type plan. All right, I'm going to drop out of this record here and go back to our main menu, and I want to show you how easy it is to set up the integration between the two products. Once you have made the decision to do some business with DonorSearch, you're going to be able to come into the ResultsPlus product. On the tab bar across the top here, we'll click on the System Add-ins. And the very first button on our toolbar here is Wealth Screening, so I'll go ahead and I'll select that. In this case here, DonorSearch is selected. They will supply you with a user ID, a password, and an API key. So you'll have an API key, so this will identify who you are and what the information is that you're going to be acquiring. So again, you'll be able to pass this information. It's saved one time, so you don't have to enter this every time, and now basically you're set to start using the DonorSearch product and have the integration between it and ResultsPlus. Now, a couple things just to point out to you here real quick before we end today's webinar. We have our mailing wizard here, so you're going to have the ability to send out letters, envelopes, labels, email. So you, again, acquire some information. You get to decide how you want to use that. And Ryan pointed out some great informational tips there on how you might connect with some people, but you do have the capability of doing both the snail mail and the email. One of the things that I'll show you that we're starting to do a little bit more of here at ResultsPlus, and I guess because we're using my system and not Ryan's, we can't show you some of the reports that are available with DonorSearch, but there's some great reports that you'll be able to use. But we have this query facility, and the ResultsPlus here creates some queries that you'll be able to use with DonorSearch. So down here we've got some prospect call sheets, some donor ratings, we've got export information. So again, you're going to have the opportunity to look in your system, handpick some people that you want to be part of this and pass the information. Because we've got the API code in there over to DonorSearch, they're going to kick all that information back to you. And again, with a click of a button, for everybody that's in that group, you'll be able to pull them up. So this is all stuff that is part of results. And since I mentioned group, here's the group button up here. So what you're going to want to do here is create a group for DonorSearch so that you don't have to go out there and find those people in the system. You're merely going to come in here, find DonorSearch. In my case, I'm going to stick donors, click on it, and here will be your list of all the people that you had just sent over to DonorSearch and had screened. So again, you can click on the different records, and there's the information for that record. Now, while in this area here, if I right-click with my mouse, I'm going to get a little drop down here. What do you want to do with this information? You're looking at the screened people now. Do you want to send them an email? Do you want to send them some snail mail? Do you want to add them to a group? Do you want to drop some people from the group? Do you want to export this information? Do you want to print this out and share this with your board? So again, there's a lot of different ways you can slice that pie. We sat down and done a lot of good work with DonorSearch. They provide a wealth of knowledge. And because that's brought into the system, it should make you a little bit better fundraiser because, again, you may find out that Mark Gerber, when he gave you a gift of $100, you thought, geez, that's pretty nice. The guy gave us $100. He's done that for years. Now, all of a sudden, you go do some wealth screening, and you find out he's actually the heir to the Gerber baby food fortune. He's worth $100 million, and that $100 that you got was actually a go-away gift. Here's some money, see ya. Okay? Now that you know that Mark Gerber is worth that kind of money, and I'm not, but this is the only time I get to be rich, and I got to throw that in once in a while so I feel good. But you know that I'm worth a lot of money, so then you have the opportunity then to make appropriate asks with that information. So again, a lot of great information there. You can find information on our ResultsPlus product at ResultsPlusSoftware.com. And Results Plus Software is all spelled out. And of course, you can go to DonorSearch.com and find out information about DonorSearch. One of the things I'm going to do for those of you that sat around here with us for the duration of this, I'm going to hand the ball back over to Ryan. And Ryan's going to tell you about a special offer that's going to be available to you guys as people who sat through our presentation. So Ryan, go ahead and take that and close us out.
Thank you, Mark. So anybody that stuck around this long, I want you to know we appreciate it. We hope you found some value in this, and we hope you're interested in what we have to say. And we're willing to do the free screening of up to 200 records. So there's that little export feature to DonorSearch that shows you the file format that we want it in. You give us 100, 200 records. You reach out to me, Ryan at DonorSearch.net. That's my email address. And I can go ahead, run the records, walk you through the results, and then you've got them so that you know, hey, these people are the best opportunities. And hopefully that's good enough for you that you want to sign up and actually do business with us. So thank you so much. I hope this was good. Mark, thank you so much for putting this on and having me, and I really appreciate it.
Well, I think what we showed here today, buddy, is that the integration is there, and there's a great way to use other products in conjunction with ResultsPlus to benefit your business. So with that, we're going to let you guys go. I did want to make mention again one more time that I'm going to leave the system up here for a little bit. So if you want to submit questions, digest a little bit, I'll give you another 5 minutes or so before we shut things down. But with the information that you do put in there, Ryan will get it, I'll get it, we'll give it to our salespeople. We'll be back in touch with you to make sure you get the answers to your questions. So with that, again, on behalf of Ryan and myself, I want to say thank you for your time this afternoon. I know time is valuable, and you spent that with us, and we're real appreciative of that. We hope to hear and talk to you here in the near future, maybe see you at some of the trade shows, and we hope you have a great day. And with that, we'll turn you back to your work efforts. Good luck. Thanks for all the hard work that you do, and we'll talk to you soon.